Okay, the news is going around that YouTube just lost $70 billion after banning and demonetizing conspiracy videos, other controversial videos. I'm Alex Ansary. It is May 6, 2019. We are going to talk about this, and this is happening several years after all this began. We can go back to April 2017, and that was actually a couple of months right before losing a part-time, short-term online job posting news. There was a major crunch within the alternative media. That was also in the first months in which I saw no ad revenue. And for those that don't know, I live in rural Colorado, and I live below the average amount that the average American may pay, for example, that's renting the city. I did that for years. I worked at restaurants for years, from Ruth Chris Steakhouse to the Benson Hotel and many things in my 20s. By the way, I'm nearly 40. And so it took many, many years of planning for me to go off the grid with this plan that I would come to you from satellite internet. Right now, my friend is visiting. This is my annual break from living, I guess, in the rough many times, without a shower, without a fridge, without certain luxuries of modern infrastructure. And I've been able to do that, to live under the poverty line, by not only restricting what I purchase, but having some assets. And so I've seen from my time off the grid, it go from an all-time high of maybe 600, 700 with an average really between maybe 3 and 5, which is way less than a lot of other YouTubers. But I also say a lot of things that the algorithm doesn't like and that some humans don't like. I'm not interested in building a big audience, telling people what they want to hear. And I want to keep it more real than ever before. We're also going to talk about solutions. So, we are now at that period in which I will see no revenue. No money back for the work that I've done on YouTube. The channel isn't demonetized. The views are so suppressed, and whatever the payout is on the ad revenue, that nothing's going to come in for the upcoming month. And only because I've been frugal, only because of that, that's the only way I'm making it through this. Plus, I see the views are getting worse and worse. And it, on one level, one could say is indicative of the change in perception and the value of my content. On another level, we have the algorithm. On another level, you have where they meet together and maybe influencing each other. Maybe popular opinion is very much influenced by the machine to the point where some of the things that I say may be considered offensive to some people that may not see the importance of those very issues. So I personally, as a content creator, am contending, if you will, with a number of robot-like constructs, if that makes sense. So for me, to keep it real is to keep it organic. And what I mean by that, we're not necessarily a permaculture channel, with all respect to those that are helping people prepare for the coming changes, by helping people learn how to grow things so they can survive, so they can eat. But some of us are also trying to plant other seeds of consciousness, so maybe we can come together to begin with and get that garden going. Because we have to plant seeds of consciousness first, to where there is the ability for people to work together and have some mutual respect so we can live outside the dollar system. Do you have any idea how much I fantasize and have, just really, truly desired that in my own life, to have something like that in my own little world? It's one thing to have solar panels. It's one thing to have food. It's one thing to see majestic mountains with really interesting histories, like the ancient past, as I look at the mountains right in front of me. But you know what's missing? A community. And that's not something that you can buy or buy into or get online and go, who wants to go off the grid? It doesn't work that way. But keeping this more centralized on YouTube, but there's going to be a lot more posts from me that you're going to see at otptv.net and offgridco.com and worldwarzero.com and solarmaxnews.com. It's all interconnected. And I have a variety of interests that are outside the box. I'm not going to be limited by what's taking place with YouTube. But this is also something that's taking place with the internet. This algorithm issue is something that we're seeing with Google. Google has owned YouTube for many years. We're not necessarily out of the woods by leaving YouTube. YouTube has become somewhat of a monopoly. And so YouTube has lost $70 billion, and there's a number of different videos that you can watch to get information about this. What I would say is that YouTube, Google is very much intertwined with the government and mainstream institutions. One could even say that they can afford to lose a certain amount when they're that juiced in with the establishment. And they also make things appear to be a certain way, maybe hire people, minorities to be in certain positions, while they have people that are literally moderating YouTube on the back end, demonetizing video and confirming that by manual review. You don't know them, but from what I've seen, from the way that my videos have been treated, it is nothing like the so-called YouTube Creators for Change front that they try to project. YouTube's Creators for Change front. When I talk about real issues that affect people that are oppressed, and I see how the algorithm treats me. And so this should be like a really big wake-up call on another level for YouTube consumers, whether you're left or right, that you understand that a lot of these narratives that are being put out there are manufactured, just like the manufactured takedown of Milo, Alex Jones, and others. They do that to rile up the masses, right? But meanwhile, Alex Jones has all the money in the world, so to speak, so does Milo, so does PewDiePie. So at what point are we going to exit this mindset of worshiping dudes that have tons of numbers and hits, that should be a little bit more savvy at marketing and creating money for themselves with their millions of free YouTube views? You know, when I got involved in this, I was looking up information on how much I had to pay just to feature my videos. This is before YouTube came out. This is 2005. And I was getting quotes from people that worked at companies that had servers. And I never really got anywhere, but I was already looking at the path of reaching people on the internet and the magic of that, just like the magic of reaching people on Access TV. So I get really tired of seeing people with really big views, way bigger than mine, whine about what's taking place. If somebody's going to be putting out good content, right, the people should value that. The people don't always value good content. There is this habit of getting everything for free for some people, and a lot of people aren't aware of what's going on when they're just looking at things from an entertaining or entertainment perspective or a consumer perspective. And sometimes the ego doesn't allow for some of them to see what they don't want to see, the realities of what's taking place on the back end, and it's scary. The back end of YouTube is scary. It's incredibly Orwellian, to the point where one could wonder whether, well, there's a reason why people put tape on their webcams anyways. But it's like we're uploading like views to an AI system that's favoring China and other constructs and ideas to a certain degree. That's scary when we look at the path that we're on. And so I'm going to continue to do what I've set out to do, which is to expand my work and understand that the writing is on the wall. And I'm going to advise you along the way. I see that some of you have joined YouTube in recent years and you've seen your success. You also see the writing on the wall with regards to other things. Never forget the power of writing. One could say that through our own social media addiction, I will be one of the first to admit that through that type of rewiring of the brain to only comment and interact on Facebook and YouTube has taken us away from writing our books and writing our stories and building our websites. And so, thanks to a friend that's helping me with a database backend, I am now updating otbtv.net. And the other 3 websites will be updated soon. And the purpose of this is to reach out in this world in which, we want to access what free speech. We want to utilize free speech to the best of our ability with what technology is capable of and what it will allow. During a time in which the algorithm cannot block everything, there is no real stopping you from putting out information. You don't even have to put your name on it. And information can be put out there to affect the world, to affect the hive mind, if you will, the collective consciousness for the greater good. And so the question is, are we working to do that? Or has the all-you-can-watch buffet of content while we see all this censorship, right? Is it numbing the population? What I mean by that is we're seeing like the hammer of censorship come down on conspiracy topics. Meanwhile, VUDU.com and other websites, Hulu, other websites, Cracked, are showing all this mainstream media content, and they will also dabble in conspiracy theory. So what we're really dealing with is some sort of mainstream control of information and entertainment and thought, including spirituality. This is way bigger. This is way bigger of a Borg takeover of human consciousness than what most people think. You know, my friend pointed me in the direction of Guardians of the Galaxy, which is part 2 in a series. I believe part 4 now is out. It is in-game. This seems to also be hijacking the Norse mythos with Thor. The golden hair on the hybrid child of the Archon or Aeon-like deity, played by the actor known to you, many of you, as Kirk Russell. For those of you that have seen part 2, I've only seen part 2. And this is clear like superhero and supervillain mythologies that's basically based on Gnostic tales from the ancient world. Again and again and again and again. I flip over to another channel in the mainstream media. What do I see? It's a program called Ghost Adventures. And what's going on in Ghost Adventures? They're dealing with basically archonic interference in human relationships. That's a main topic at OTB TV. That's a main topic that I, Alex Ansary, have been speaking about for years. Will the algorithm auto-suggest that you check out that level of content? Never. Why is that? Ask that question and return to it next week. Because there are some questions that we're not asking that we should be asking while we're mesmerized by the bright lights or the wild threats from the Matrix. Let's keep a center here. Let's keep a center here. And look at reality. Let's seek to, which this is spiritual virtue, let's look at reality as it is. And so they're demonizing the little guy. They're demonizing the little woman. They're demonizing the true Gnostic from emerging in this day and age. And the corporations are seeking to have a monopoly on ideas and thought forms as people organically start waking up or try to wake up, which is a part of human reality, to reach not a midlife crisis, but a midlife awakening. Here's another thought that I want you to consider. A lot of doomsday, fear porn, collapse news, end of civilization stuff goes well with people and is popular with people that may be in their last 10, 20, 30, or 40 years of life. I have compassion, like for my friend in Portland and others that may have health complications, but what I want to speak against are people that want to take advantage of people's fears either in the medical industry or in the prepper survival industry. And I also say that some of the speakers in this world know that maybe they only have 20 years left of life or 30 years left of life. Even some people that are involved in militia or other things. So some people are obsessed with collapse because they are the ones that are collapsing. And some people act like the world's going to go down with them at the end of this incarnation, and they're projecting. It doesn't mean that we're not dealing with floods and disasters and solar minimum. And that some people are projecting. Some people need to have the collapse of their own programming, and they need to have a healing, and they need to have that solar flare blast them in the heart to where they're feeling compassion, not just fear of massive crops dying, but compassion for the people that are being oppressed at this time, the people that don't have a voice, the people that are truly being buried by the algorithm. There are people out there that know right now in real time before the collapse that there are people being suppressed by this machine that have no voice, that they don't care about for whatever personal reason. We know this. I know this as a person that's experienced that type of judgment, alienation, exile, cultural shaming from this culture as well as my father's, A guy like me has more experiences than the average bear. But what I'm happy about is that with my friend's work, we have updated my website. Some of the bugs that were there for years and years were for whatever reason not functioning last night. Bugs like the server timing out like for hours and hours and hours. Like, last night's session of updating some of the last few months of videos on this YouTube channel to otbtv.net, it went pretty smooth. So you're going to hear more from me. Look at the posts, the things that I post on YouTube that link you over there. But it seems that I am moving on this quickly and putting more energy. I'll be putting more energy into writing and not just doing videos. So it's going to be kind of a blend to where some of the content that I talk about in videos, there'll be an essay with that. Maybe I'll write something for a period of several hours, and then I'll basically give the Cliff Notes delivery of that on YouTube. And then extra work, I'll even be working on my own thumbs. That's another one of my New Year's resolution with the spring, to be working on my own graphics myself using Fireworks. I'm going to be coaching myself on Fireworks and working with that so I can bring more of my ideas, even doing some of my first collage pieces myself on my own of different images where I can paint the picture in the mind's eye without saying a word and just presenting music. Understand, during these times in which we go through these major changes in the sun, even deep solar minimum, we could be tapping into the creative forces in the cosmos, right? Maybe there's an agenda for the robots of this world and the system of this world and the algorithm to promote people that promote fear because of the vibrational frequency that it creates in the masses. I'm Alex Ansari signing off. I'll be back with more thoughts. The website is otbtv.net. I'd appreciate it if you bookmarked it.